So much of this depends on Mother Nature and how much moisture we get. And I can promise you, our farm, our neighbors' farms, nobody wants that nitrate going down the river, down the Raccoon River to Des Moines. We want to keep that here to nourish crops.
Aye. Graham Gillette.
Aye.
Susan Huppert.
Aye.
Mark Wallace.
Aye. So that motion passes.
Late this winter in the state's capital city, the decision was made to file a federal lawsuit against the boards of supervisors in 3 counties upstream in northwest Iowa. At issue are 10 drainage districts, which the plaintiff, Des Moines Water Works, claims violate the Federal Clean Water Act by failing to obtain the proper permit to discharge nitrates from farm runoff into the North Raccoon River. The watershed provides clean water for over 500,000 central Iowans.
It's hard for me to believe that 88,000 farmers have the right to foul the water for the entire state of 3 million people. I just don't understand how that happens.
While naturally present in the soil, nitrogen also is added as fertilizer by farmers. And as the crucial nutrient breaks down into nitrate, it moves with water. Nitrates in drinking water have been attributed to health issues and infant fatalities. Des Moines Water Works has operated one of the largest nitrate removal facilities in the world as needed since the early 1990s. A costly venture, the system ran an unprecedented 97 days this winter with a price tag of well over $500,000. Nitrate levels spiked again this spring, forcing the aging facility into 24/7 operation again since April 17th.
Des Moines Water Works is going to be faced with an $80 to $180 million proposition to build a new denitrification plant. That's the ultimate tax on the people of Des Moines.
Much to the chagrin of the agricultural industry, the utility argues that massive artificial subsurface drainage infrastructure is a point source polluter and in violation of state and federal recommendations. While the case could have nationwide ramifications, some officials believe such accusations don't hold water.
I really think Des Moines Water Works is asking for things that contradicts the way that we have looked at the Clean Water Act. I also believe at the end of the day, if we're all about clean water, and I believe most folks on both sides of this issue are about clean water, that a non-regulatory approach is superior to a regulatory approach.
Some agricultural stewards have undertaken voluntary efforts to reduce runoff on their own dime for years. But Iowa adopted its own nutrient reduction strategy in 2013, and the science-based plan implemented a host of environmental efforts funded in part by the state of Iowa.
I think if people realized the efforts that we're making out here and the great strides that we're making in terms of conservation and nutrient management, I think people would change their tune a little bit.
Though expanded initiatives aim to dwindle away the problem, progress at the speed of nature is unacceptable to some downstream.
We realize that the best knowledge is those closest to the production, but they need to assume the responsibility for reducing environmental impacts downstream, and that's not happening under the current system.
Despite brewing litigation, seeds are still being sown in hopes of a strong environmental return on investment. But authors of Iowa's nutrient reduction strategy, like Dean Lemke, admit finding the right balance can be an uphill battle.
The problem is that those plants need that nitrogen at much higher concentrations in the root zone than the drinking water standard, maybe 40 parts per million in the root zone compared to a 10 part per million drinking water standard. So when the rains come in Iowa, these landscapes leak some of that nitrogen. In spite of farmers' good efforts to keep as much of that nitrogen there as they can, it leaks out.